Renton rubbed his eyes with one clawed hand as his hover transport floated down the road. Driving the trucks was tiring, boring, and tedious. But it meant he didn't have to worry about the current revolt. Yeah, the monarchy is trying to hide it, but Renton knew that the injuries he saw in his newsfeed were not from a gas explosion. Did Golgotha even use gas lines anymore? The transport driver thought to himself. The stove in his apartment was electric, a damned fine one too, but he'd heard some of the higher-ups preferred to cook with a flammable gas for some reason. Taking a turn, Renton's thoughts began to drift towards home. He wanted nothing more than to get back to his apartment and watch his fish dart to the surface for their food pellets. Maybe catch that new drama the other soldiers would taunt him about watching if they found out. Renton, all in all, just wanted to live out his life without worrying about, "Oh, sweet mother of conquest!" he shouted, seeing the group of 5 cloaked figures blocking the road. Reflexively, he lifted both feet off the acceleration pedals, the transport coming to a violent, but silent stop as Renton's head slammed into the steering wheel. Dazed from the impact, Renton kept his hands in plain view as one of the figures jerked open the passenger side door. A large, blocky handgun with a suppressor was pointed at him from the figure's waist. In the dimness of the cab, he couldn't see what the figure pulled out next, but a soothing, female, artificial voice came from it. "Please unlock the rear doors." Shaking, Renton did as he was told, unlocking the exterior handles for the cargo doors. Slowly, he placed his hands back on the steering wheel, heart pounding with fear. The sound of something heavy being loaded into the rear of the transport broke the heavy silence. Renton debated flooring it and driving away, but the cloaked figure beside him was one hell of a deterrent. Summoning his courage, Renton shakily asked, Are you going to kill me?" There was a click, then another before the soothing, artificial voice spoke back. "Do you want to die?" Renton shook his head, vision blurring. "I just want to go home and feed my fish. If you let me go, I won't tell a soul." The figure beside him was silent, the artificial voice not deigning to respond. Renton gulped, hands shaking on the wheel as the sound of heavy footsteps approached the cabin door. Renton couldn't explain it, but the sound filled him with dread. The feeling only amplified as the door swung open. Another black-cloaked figure poked their hooded head out, a youthful but strong voice coming from the shadows behind the hood. "Having any issues with the guy?" The specter in the passenger's seat shook their head and made an odd motion with their hand. The figure who'd come through the cargo hold slowly turned their head towards Renton. The young Geknosian felt a primal fear as he looked into the abyss that occupied the inside of the figure's hood. It was like staring down a feral beast, like the cloaked figure could kill him and he'd be helpless to stop them. "You want to live through this?" the cloaked beast asked, and Renton nodded so vigorously he felt his head would come off. The cloaked figure just nodded, a small dip of the hood the only indication. Silence fell so thick you could cut it with a knife, as the two stared at each other. "What's your name?" the cloaked figure asked. Renton, sir," the utterly terrified Geknosian replied. The cloaked figure remained silent and still. A few minutes passed, and, in that time, Renton heard the large cargo doors shut loudly. He could feel condensation forming on his face in the tense silence. Then the cloaked beast stuck out a hand in a surprisingly non-hostile motion. "My name's Drake. I can't guarantee your safety, but I promise we won't kill you unless we have to. That means you gotta do 2 things for us. Ready to hear what those are?" Renton jerked a nod, neck stiff from staring at this Drake person. Renton swore he could hear a grin in Drake's next words. "Good. First, you're going to complete this delivery the same way you would any other. However, you might want to drive carefully. There's 200 pounds of SP-90 sitting in your cargo space rigged to blow." Renton felt like his heart stopped for a moment. "Second, you're going to come back with us as a prisoner and tell us everything we want to know. Understand?" Heart beating like a drum, Renton nodded. Scared out of his rational mind, he asked, Can I bring my fish? Drake jerked back a little bit, and Renton squeezed his eyes shut before looking away. He expected to die right then and there, but instead he heard laughing? Renton felt a hand on his shoulder as Drake spoke. I tell you what, you can bring your fish. I don't know why, but I like you for some reason. If we don't have to pry the information out of you and you aren't slave-owning scum, you can come work for us. Make a little trouble for the higher-ups. How's that sound? Renton looked at his knuckles, gripping the steering wheel so hard the scales stuck up. If he was being honest with himself, he hated his life. He hated the officers and enlisted that treated him like excrement they just stepped in. Suddenly, like it had never been there, his fear melted away, replaced with burning indignation. He wanted to live before he died, not just survive. That sounds good to me. Shall we get moving? Drake patted Renton on the shoulder. Good man. Cassius, in the back with me. Let's not blow our new friend's cover. Renton felt giddy as he locked the rear doors and eased his feet onto the accelerator pedals. If these humans wanted into that base, he'd get them there. Hope you're hungry, Jimbo. Papa's coming home early.